Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Can anyone let me know if the audio sounds good before we get started here? Cool. Well, welcome everyone. Welcome to the Wire discussion stream. If you don't know me, I'm Kino, but you probably do know me at this point. So, welcome. And a little low. Okay, let me. Okay. So everyone's saying it's fine. Okay, some people are saying it's a little low. Let me maybe make some adjustments here. Um, um, Trying to see how I can turn it up. Maybe I just move the mic a little closer. Does that sound better, guys? Coming in fine? Welcome, everyone. Hello, Tobin from Cameron in Indiana. Nice to have you here. Okay, cool. Much better. Awesome. So yeah, this is basically I wanted to talk about The Wire. I wanted to discuss it ever since I finished the series, but I wanted to wait for a little while to release the season five reaction so that I know there were some people who were kind of watching it with me and kind of watching those videos as they came out. So I wanted to give it a little bit of time, but now that like a week has passed, I wanted to go ahead and just discuss this amazing series. Um, okay, Tobin, no problem. We'll talk about each season one at a time. You can see here I've got my season one thumbnail up. So we'll discuss it in parts there. And then, if you want to dip out when we get to season five, totally fine. Basically, let's just go ahead and start with the first season here, season one. Um, we can put. I'm trying to figure out the best way to do this, but definitely post like your guys' thoughts about each season, major events that happen, major characters. I want this to be like a discussion because part of the fun of getting into a new show like this is talking to people about what they thought, and I want to hear different opinions. I want to hear different theories, all of that. So, um, Coder grammar. How does it compare to The Sopranos? I don't, I don't like to like put one thing as better than the other. Like you can't really like compare art. It's like this one is better than this one. You can have a personal favorite, but I really really like both shows. Obviously, The Sopranos is my favorite show of all time. It's what this channel is all about. I love making Sopranos videos. And in terms of like a pure story, I kind of feel like The Sopranos is superior because it's telling the it's a character study of Tony Soprano. The Wire does not focus nearly as much on its characters because the show is about Baltimore, and that's something we'll explore, in this discussion. But um, in terms of like a character study of Baltimore, I would say it's almost superior than The Sopranos. But The Sopranos is a much better, I think, traditional story of like, you know, we're just looking at human characters here, specifically Tony. I will say though that The Wire feels like a more important show to me though in terms of the themes that it gets at, the look at life in America. Even though it's really about this one specific place and time in Baltimore, it feels so universal to the American experience. Not just the African American experience or the police experience, but it like across all the seasons, we kind of get a sense of like what it's like to be just a cog in the machine. I think that's something we all can relate to. So both shows have their great points. I won't rank one as better than the other. I really, really love both. These are my top two favorite shows of all time right now. Yeah, they're both equally the best show of all time. Very different, contemporary also too. They both were coming out. The Sopranos came out first. I think they were on like season 3 when season 1 of The Wire came out, but um, definitely doesn't have like I would say there's probably some Soprano influence on The Wire, but not that much. Not like the Soprano influence is all over Breaking Bad, right? Because it came out much later, and so it was kind of like carrying on the legacy. Whereas The Wire was kind of doing its own thing. They obviously knew what The Sopranos was doing, but definitely went in its own direction, and it's a fantastic direction to go in. So yeah, both great. Okay, so back to season 1 here. We have the first episode, which I know a lot of people have said that like the first episode is a little boring. It's hard to get into, which I think is fairly typical of a lot of shows. I mean, I felt that way about the Sopranos pilot. It's not necessarily like the full encompassing picture of what you're gonna get in the show. Um, but we have some fantastic details in this first episode here. We've got that great opening scene with McNulty. We have the dialogue where he's talking about they had to let Snot Boogie play the game because that's just the American way. Not everyone's going to be a winner, but everyone can play the game. I will say some of this dialogue was really like on the nose, where I was like, okay, I know what you're doing here. I know you're, setting up a metaphor for, the American experience. I felt the same way about the chess metaphor that we get in like the second or third episode here. And sometimes it's a little bit like, I get it. I get what you're doing, David Simon. But still a fantastic look at, what we're going to get thematically from the show. I love the cold opens. I love the quotes. I think the quotes at the beginning of each episode give a lot of flavor to like, oh, okay, what's this? You don't really get the quotes right away. Like sometimes you do, but a lot of times you're like, oh, it's not till the end of the episode that I really understood what that quote was about. And I thought it was fantastic. Yeah, there was a lot of English actors in this show. Of course, Dominic West, who plays McNulty, Idris Elba, who plays Stringer. Yeah, I don't know what it is about British actors that they can do such good American accents, but not the other way around. I always think about Hugh Laurie as House. Excuse me. Really fantastic American voice there. And there's that funny scene in season 2 where McNulty's putting on a fake British accent, which I love that he's intentionally doing like a bad British accent like an American would. So very funny there. Holy trinity of TV shows: The Wire, Sopranos, and Breaking Bad. Yeah, that's pretty much the same for me too right now. I am trying to expand my repertoire and watch more shows, so that might change, but definitely the 3 best shows I've seen so far. Yeah, crime reporter. David Simon was a reporter for the Baltimore Sun for like 15 years or so. And that we'll talk about that when we get to season 5 and that newspaper storyline. But the other person involved in creating the show was Ed Burns, I believe his name was. And he was a detective with the Baltimore Police Department and also a teacher. So we have that kind of season 4 Presbylewski storyline there, which was really fantastic. Hum along if you can't sing along. Thank you so much for the donation. Slip and Fall University hoodie, my alma mater. It's where I got my degree in pseudo psychology. And if you guys want to rep your own Pure Kino merchandise, you can go to my store. It's linked in the description of this video. I have some new shirts and hoodies on there. With I commissioned some faces of Tony Soprano, Walter White. I can just bring it up on the store here. Right here. I don't want to advertise too much on here. This isn't about that, but if you guys want your own merchandise, I'm kind of into minimalism, so I don't have a whole lot of designs on here. But I've got Tony Soprano, got Omar, got Heisenberg, and they come in different colors and stuff too here. So if you guys are interested in that, feel free to check it out. But I'll just go ahead and go back to the discussion here and stop plugging my shit. Mad Men. I know I'm gonna check out Mad Men. I have not seen the show. That's gonna be. I'm gonna do a reaction series on that coming up here. And yes, Rusty, you pointed out that a lot of real Baltimore people are on the show, either playing themselves like Snoop in season 4, or they like some of the characters are inspired by real life Baltimore people, and then those real life Baltimore people appear on the show but as other characters. Jay Landsman, the fat cop who is always reading the porno magazines, he's based on a real Jay Landsman, and the real Jay Landsman's on the show, but he plays Lieutenant Mello, the guy in the Western District, Colvin's second in command. So it's pretty funny that he auditioned for Landsman, but he wasn't like a good enough Landsman to play himself. So we have all of those connections in the show. Do you think that upon a rewatch of season 5 you would appreciate it more? Probably. We'll talk about season 5 when we get to there. But definitely, this is a show I had to rewatch multiple times. I am rewatching it right now, and I am appreciating like season 2 way more than I did the first time. But I will say we'll talk about my problems with season 5 when we get to there. Method Man, yeah, he plays Cheese Wagstaff on this show, and then yeah, Tug Daniels on Oz. Great rapper. Robin Marks, what does pure Kino mean exactly? It's a 4chan meme. It's like, I don't watch movies. I watch cinema. I watch Kino. And so Kino is like kind of anything that's like really, like, it's like a higher class. It's like, I don't watch cape shit. I watch real Kino. You know, The Godfather. Whatever. Like, things that it's like it's the elitism of the internet culture, but I play into that, so it is what it is. I would have got in a Mount Rushmore. So you're saying the last season was so terrible it brought it down for you, but for me the show starts getting bad around season 4. I've got major problems with that show early on, but I'm a book reader too, so I have a lot of problems with that. Yeah, top of the art. Yeah. Yeah, Sons of Anarchy, The Shield. I'll probably check those out eventually. The probably next reaction series you're gonna get immediately is probably Boardwalk Empire, and then probably Mad Men after that. But we'll see. I'll react to a bunch of different stuff. I really want to like expand my repertoire of TV shows. Yeah, it takes several watches. Yeah, there's so many characters on this show that you're not going to get everything from The Wire on first watch. Okay, so let's go back to the discussion of the show. Season 1, the typical cop drug dealer kind of angle. That's what this season's focused on. It's a very slow moving show. And one of the things that I love that they establish in this season that I've never seen anywhere else before is the lack of information that's shared across all the characters. Typically in a show, when one character learns something, then all the characters know it, because it's like, well, the audience knows it, so why wouldn't the characters? There's kind of like a disconnect there. But the Wire establishes that you know there can be things that the cops are like desperately trying to figure out that like people on the street are just talking about to them. They know it, but there's like this disconnect because the cops don't really know the streets that well. And we'll talk about that in season three with Colvin. But I absolutely love that information is not universal on the show, and it shows the um, like that it shows the reality that like police investigations often rest on little things like this that someone forgets to file a form and it destroys a case, or they forget to share this information. They're like, oh yeah, I remember that, but I forgot about it. Such a realistic thing, so human. And I love that they established that this season. That would continue out through all of the entire show. I agree with the downfall of God started in season four, but five, definitely five, but still watchable. Yeah, I agree with that. There's good moments. I'd say season four is like 75% good, and then season five is like 50% good, and then season six is like 30 or 20% good. It goes downhill from there. The more they had, the less they had to rely on George's books, the more they fucked it up with the writing. So still love Gotham, and I can't wait for House of the Dragon. Probably you guys can expect some kind of video about that too. Narcos, I liked the first two seasons of the original Narcos. Season three was very boring, and Narcos Mexico was very boring to me. I didn't finish Narcos Mexico. That's kind of the Netflix model, though. Most of their shows start out pretty strong, but they don't know how to finish a show. They like throw everything against the wall. If The Wire was a Netflix show, they would have done like all elements of all five seasons in the first season, and then just had nothing to do for the rest of them. But that's the typical Netflix formula. Make sure get them in with the first season, and then who cares about the rest? Just it could be trash, as long as we got them to watch that first season. When am I doing episode by episode reviews for The Wire? Probably not till next year. I have all of Breaking Bad to do this year, and I need to rewatch The Wire multiple times before I can start doing. Because like again, there's stuff I'm missing. I didn't even realize. Spoiler for season three. I know we're jumping ahead here, but I didn't even realize that it was Omar's boyfriend that shot Tasha. So people pointed that out in the comments. I missed it. So like there's tons of stuff like that I have to kind of pick up through multiple watches rather than just like off the cuff like, oh yeah, here's what happened. There's so many little parallels that I'm learning about as I read about the show, as I watch it again. And I'm like I said, I'm growing more and more appreciative of the show the more I watch it. Yeah, books are usually better than the show, David. Although my better than the book series is an exploration of films that I think kind of surpass the books. Right now, I'm listening to The Godfather by Mario Puzo because I'm going to compare it to Coppola's version, obviously. So, book's pretty good though. Very very straight to the point, which I like. Very easy to listen to. Yeah, we'll talk about Colvin when we get to season three. He's my favorite character of the show. He's fantastic. Um, Captain, you're thinking the show. You're thinking Got sucked after the third season. You definitely not talking about The Wire because The Wire gets really good in season four. Haven't seen Ozark. Might check it out, but I'm gonna check out Succession too. I hear really good things about it. So there's so many things. Attack on Titan. I've seen Attack on Titan. I didn't finish the last season four or whatever it's on. Anime like I don't think they use the term seasons. Again, I'm not a big anime guy. You guys know that. I liked it, but I just kind of didn't continue on with it. I think there was like a break in season 4 that I didn't pick it up at when it started back up again. But there's some like if you guys are Breaking Bad fans, there's some beef going on right now between the Breaking Bad and Attack on Titan communities. Like apparently some Breaking Bad fans were like making fun of one of the episodes of Attack on Titan or something, or they were like rating it lower, and so all the Attack on Titan fans got together and they gave 1 star ratings on IMDb to or Rotten Tomatoes or whatever to Ozymandias, which previously was a 10 out of 10 stars. So there's some like beef between the anime fans and the Breaking Bad fans. So I thought that was pretty funny. Attack on Titan, I was like, I liked it, but it was way too serious for me. Like it was like you gotta have some humor to balance out this shit. Like the Sopranos, The Wire, Breaking Bad. You gotta have humor to break up the serious moments, and there wasn't that much humor in the show, which it was hard to watch. It was like just depressing. It was cool, but yeah, I don't know. Didn't blow me away. Attack on Titan. Um, yeah, random beef. I got no problem with like anime people. Like I don't. I know there's like a big thing in like these online communities where it's like if you watch anime, they throw that's like an insult to people. They're like saying like you have no taste because you like anime. I liked like the basic animes I watched, like Naruto. I thought was a really good character driven story. I love Death Note. I thought that had a great plot. Full Metal Alchemist I thought was like a fun, really tight knit story that was great. I got no beef. Whatever people want to enjoy, it's up to them. Rawls has such a hard on for McNulty, but I love the scene when that's another great thing. I love that they established this season in The Wire, which is none of the show really avoids like the Draco Malfoy character. That's the term I use. It's like these like villains who are just like irredeemable, petty assholes. We kind of set up Rawls as like that. He's like the asshole boss, but yeah, there's that great scene where Jimmy's like horrified that Kima got shot, and Rawls is like, you know, I hate you, McNulty. I hope you get cancer and die. You're a piece of shit. But you did not, you're not responsible for Kima's getting shot. They do that all the time. Even though Valchek's like the closest they get with like the asshole character, even he has this moment. And we can go ahead and jump ahead to season 2 here, because we've been talking for a while. But at the end there, when he kind of realizes what happened to Sabatka, he has this moment where he's like, you know, you were a worthy adversary. Yeah, even these asshole characters get, and I love that. I hate irredeemable like straw man type characters. I really think that's the problem with a lot of these woke shows that people complain about, which is like it's not a problem for you to have like racist characters or to say like racism is bad, homophobia is bad, whatever. Like The Wire does that, but it does it in a way that like even those characters have some kind of redeeming quality. They feel like real people. Even like Valchek's a racist asshole, right? Rawls is kind of like a racist asshole. But they have like redeeming qualities where you're like, okay, you're not just a straw man for me to be like, look, this is a bad person. You shouldn't be like this. They feel real, and again, you can have these like anti racist messages, but just don't put them in the mouth of straw men who that's what makes a show feel fake. Anyway, rant over. Cheese. Cheese is a is a piece of shit. But I don't know. I mean, he's funny sometimes. Yeah, I mean, there's some one-dimensional characters, but it's just because they don't have a lot of screen time in the show. But yeah, even Hitler like kids animals. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't think that. I think if you want your show to have depth, you make all the characters human beings, even the ones we're not supposed to agree with. And anyway, rant over. Um, Let me jump back to season one real quick because I just want to talk about the ending, which is, oh yeah, Cheese loved his dog. Good point there. He was the one that, yeah, and there was that plot point in season three where they bring him in and they're like reading him the log from his phone call, and he starts crying and he's like, man, you guys are cold hearted. Like, why are you bringing up my dog? Great, great plot point there. But anyway, the ending of season one establishes that. You know, things are not always going to work out. Even though they got Avon, it doesn't feel complete. There's no real justice. That's what's going to be established in the show. And I love the little ending montage they have there. They have they play a song called "Step by Step" by Jesse Winchester, I think. Um, and I love I don't this song in particular. I've been listening to it nonstop since I've heard it. And there's a great line um, uh, in the song which was because Jacob's golden ladder gets slippery at the top, and many a happy-go-lucky saint has made that long drop. That line in particular stood out to me as like, okay, that's what this show is all about. They're like, we set up, especially season three and onward, that the higher you rise within the system, right, the more and more you have to compromise your beliefs. And we have people like Carcetti who start out as like good people, but it's like the system itself is the king, and that's what corrupts people and causes them to do these bad things. Yeah, he's Randy's father. If you guys saw the wire reactions I was doing, I was like, Wagstaff, that's someone's last name. I couldn't remember who it was. But yeah, it's Cheese Wagstaff. So pretty funny. Okay, let's jump ahead to season two here. Season two. Let me just start off by asking, what do you guys think about season two? I've got a lot of positive comments from people on season two, but I've also got a lot of negative comments. So I'm curious to see what you guys. I kind of feel like I know what you guys are gonna say. But let's just give me your guys' opinion on season two before I give mine. And I'd especially be interested in like how you've thought about it on like multiple watches, like maybe your first reaction to season two versus you know what you thought about it after maybe you sat with it for a while. Okay, so we got positive comments. I definitely think that. Okay, Captain of the Contrarians, you're kind of like a double contrarian because saying season two sucks is actually kind of a mainstream opinion, and a lot of people, I think, as a result, have kind of grown to love season two. But you've actually gone. You're so much of a contrarian. You've gone full circle back around. Um, yeah, I really grown to like season two. At first, so if you guys watched my season two reaction, at first I was like I didn't really like it, not because I thought it was boring. I didn't like it because it kind of didn't feel like there was any kind of resolution to it. Um, like the Greeks just get away. They never discover the Greeks. The Union never gets anywhere. It didn't feel complete to me. But as I'm rewatching season two, I get that that's the point. Um, okay, so let's talk about this. So, okay, so we start off season two by introducing a new character, Frank Sabatka, and the union workers. And nowadays, we're kind of used to the idea of like an anthology kind of show, which like each season's different. But I think that's one of the reasons why people didn't like this show when it first came out, because that was very new. You didn't have shows changing it up between seasons. it kind of is disconnected, Lauren. Like, even people told me by the end things will come back. Not really. I don't agree with that. It doesn't really come back. But I think that's the point. It's just that, like, this way of life is dying. Um, Now, Frank Sabaka, we when we start off this series, we're setting it up like, okay, this guy's another kingpin like Avon Barksdale or Stringer. Like, he's like low key, like running a bunch of shit. But one of the things we discover over the course of the season is that Frank is just a pawn. He's trying desperately to keep his head above water, but he can't. He's not a kingpin. He's not a criminal mastermind. He's in over his head. He's just trying to survive, just like all these, blue collar workers are trying to. Um, but he just can't. That's you're right. It's a tragedy. Um, I, uh, I think that it's so human what he goes through. He's just like he didn't realize what he was getting into. He was just trying to do the best for his union, and the system it was never going to be okay. They were never gonna like fix the docks. It was always gonna be converted to condominiums. They were always gonna gentrify the neighborhood. Um, this is what politics is. This is what life is, and that's like it's a tragedy. And I've come to appreciate the storyline so much. There's that great quote that he says. It's like, you know what the problem in this country is? We used to make shit here. Now we just pick the next guy's pocket. Which, when you look at what our economy has become and all of that, it really is all of that. We don't produce things here as much. I mean, we still do to an extent, but um, the money has kind of coalesced towards the top, and it's leaving all these people without a job, like the robot workers on the dock. I don't want to get too political here, but yeah, I mean, Frank has his problems too. He reached too far. He could have maybe just gotten the grain pier and got whatever and continued on, but he wanted to break the system, but he couldn't do it. Just like Stringer in season 3, you ain't gonna break the system. Sometimes you can survive and you can keep going, but the system is the system. John Barlich, thank you so much. Yeah, the actor who played Horseface was Tony's football coach in season 5 during the test stream. So it's pretty good. A lot of Sopranos, a lot of HBO crossovers. We have actors switching shows all the time. I know the Greek does come back in season 5, but I would say that like the theme or like the storyline of the Union doesn't like ever come back in a mean. We see the reelect Frank Sabaka sign in season 4, and we have the Nick cameo in season 5, but they don't like tie it together in a meaningful way. But that's the whole point. The IBS is just dying, and there's no saving it, and no one cares. Politicians don't care, the cops don't care, the citizens don't care. It's like these people are just forgotten, and that's just how it is. But I wouldn't say that it's like it ties back together into the show plot wise. Thematically, it does, but yeah, I would say that it's never complete. And I Eddie sneaks the story of the Wire would never be complete. I agree. This show, there's no bookend. It's like I said this in my season 5 reaction. It reminds me of the ending of The Sopranos, which was the Journey song. The story never ends. It just goes on and on and on. The Wire, the story of Baltimore never ends. It just continues. It's like new pieces show up on the board, old pieces leave, but the city's the city. People are living their life, doing the best they can. There's some victories here and there. There's some losses. And so yeah, there's no like complete bookend to the show. Yeah, the lobby took the money. The politicians took the money. We saw that with Clay Davis in season 5, where he's like, we'll talk about that more when we get to season 3. But like, even the drug dealers are pawns within the larger game of the system, which is that's something we kind of discover, of course, of the show. I mean, yeah, Stringer's idea to create the co-op, it still exists, like in the sense that like, what's his name? Slim Charles kind of continues to co-op, but um, it's not a fundamental change. Like he hasn't like they ain't gonna like make drugs like a legitimate business like Stringer wanted. That was his problem. He thought he could change the game, but he couldn't. No one can. Colvin's the same way, and we'll talk about the parallels between Colvin and Stringer when we get to season 3. Um, yeah, boy, Leroy. That's something I read about. One of the dock workers is homeless in season 5. Again, a great cameo connection there, but again, I think that the season the story of the dock workers is meant to be not complete. Take a quick drink here. Yeah, that was the other problem I think that people didn't like about season 2, which is like you want to know more about the Barksdales, but it's like nothing really happens with them. We get the setup of the co-op and stuff like that, but you're like, I think a lot of people like me on my first watch were like, no, I want to see more of Stringer and Avon and those guys. Like, what's going on? But it's kind of like a pause for the Barksdales. And then season 3 comes back. Um, no, Prob Joe didn't create the co-op. He was one of the main. Oh, my camera's kind of getting a little fuzzy there. It'll bounce back, but he was one of the ones who encouraged Stringer to kind of eschew violence for just focusing on business. And he's definitely in that mindset. But Stringer's the one who kind of set the whole thing up and pushed it forward. Yes, Nick, I finished the whole series. You can see all my reactions to the 5 seasons on YouTube. Robin, I'd say he kind of looks like Tony a little bit, the bald head and everything. But yeah, this image right here kind of sums up his character, right? He's just he was always in the cage, always behind the fence, even when he kind of thought he was gonna escape it, he wasn't. So I appreciate season 2 a lot. I think it's a fantastic season. And let's go ahead and jump ahead here to season 3. So season 3 sets up. I've heard people say this is like the politics season, but to be honest, the politics is just kind of getting started here. They play politics all throughout the next season, so it's not. This isn't just the politician season. It's kind of a return to form actually, because it focuses more on like the cops and the drug dealers going together. And who's my favorite character in The Wire? It's Colvin, who we're introduced to. Technically, we're introduced to him in season 2, and I'm really proud that I called that he was going to be a main character. I could just tell by the way that they focused on him in season 2, in the episode Stray Rounds. But we're introduced to the Western District here. And we're introduced to my favorite character of all time, which is Bunny Colvin, the commander of the Western District. Now, Colvin is a veteran cop. He's not in the like main leadership of like CID, like the downtown city police. He's like on the front. He's like a front lines commander, is how I put it. And he's close to retirement, and he's ready to just retire, and he's got a good job lined up in the private sector. Which I was like, do they not pay well? Like, does a major's retirement not pay like well enough that he has to work a second job? I mean, I get money's money. You want to have like a lot of money, but I was like, major's pretty high. I thought that would be enough to him to just kind of retire, but I don't know. He's got 3 kids in college, so probably needs it. No, Life of Brian Bunny's not a Mary Sue. He's a failure in everything he does. That's like the opposite of a Mary Sue. Yeah, he's a middle manager basically, and he wants to make a difference, and so he tries the Amsterdam project. But just like all the characters, he can't break the system, even though it's a great idea in theory. It has its problems. But and okay, so there's a lot of parallels between Stringer and Colvin. Um, they actually interact in the season. Stringer gives up Avon to Colvin to kind of get him out of the picture, so he can kind of run the business, as he wants to. Um, and there's a great bit of parallel dialogue here. So the last thing that Stringer says when Omar and Brother Muzone kill him, which again that was a really shocking thing for me. I wasn't expecting that. Um, excuse me. He says, "Get on with it, motherfuckers." That's the last thing Stringer says before they shoot him. When the leadership of the cops figures out what Colvin did with Amsterdam, and they like fire him basically in front of everything. The last thing that he says to them is like, "Get on with it, motherfuckers." Like, um, they have the exact same line of dialogue, and again, it's showing the parallels that both of these men tried to change their respective systems. Stringer was trying to turn it into a business. Colvin was trying to legalize the drug trade, but neither of them could do it. Like the system fought back. Amsterdam gets demolished. The co-op gets dismantled. All of that, it all falls apart. And I love Colvin's little. He had the speech he has to Carter, which is like, this drug war shit. It ain't policing. It's you got to protect the community, not attack it. Which such a great speech, so fantastic. Colvin's my favorite character. Yeah, we'll talk about Naaman and stuff in season 4, which is my favorite season. Eric S. Yeah, Herc ruined a lot of lives. It's funny because in my season 2 reaction, I was saying like I didn't know why Daniels was treating Herc badly. I said he was good police, or he learned to be good police, because at the end of season 2, he's telling the new people like, we solve cases with our heads. So I thought that it was like, okay, he learned to be a good cop, but no. And people who knew the show kind of knew that, yeah, he's not a good cop. He means well, but he's too, he's too much of the problem that Colvin brought up. He's a soldier. He's not a cop. And he gets his comeuppance in the sense that he gets fired, although he gets a great job with Levy at the end. Although that's not a great ending for him. Even at the end, when Levy's like, we'll have you over for Passover, whatever whatever dinner that they were doing there. He's like, you're one of us now. And you can see in his head that like Herc is like, ugh, I'm one of you. You're a scumbag, you're a lawyer. Ugh. So yeah. Herc definitely had his problems over the seasons. Excuse me, guys. I'm getting over a cold a little bit here. Soldiering and policing, they ain't the same thing. I love his accent too. It's great. He has so many great speeches over the course of the series. Do you think everything looped back to the end of the series? McNulty, Omar, all having we'll talk about it on season 5. But yeah, basically all the characters kind of step up. It's like the game of chess, right? All the pieces reset, but the game is still the game. By the way, does anyone find themselves like talking like a gangster? Not like like talking like the street after watching The Wire, because I find myself using all these like phrases that I learned on the show, just like The Sopranos. After I watch The Sopranos, I always say, like, I always tell my fiance like, stop busting my balls, that kind of Italian kind of stuff. And the same thing after I watch this show. I was like, game is the game, It is what it is. But I pick up a lot of dialogue from there. Vitamin D for colds, fish oil. Yeah, thank you. I took a lot of vitamin C. It wasn't. I didn't have COVID, by the way. I got the test. I just had the regular flu, which still exists. People forget that it still exists out there. Yeah, I got some wire talk going on here. The game is the game. Let's see here. People should not be punished for a victimless crime. So the thing about that is, though, it's like one of the things I love about The Wire too is like it's very realistic that it shows that like pure just legalization is not a perfect system. We saw that when Bubbles was walking through Amsterdam at night. It was like a Sodom and Gomorrah. It was like a fucked up place where people were dying and shit. So it's like you can't just be like, oh, okay, yeah, everything's legal, whatever. It's like there has to be steps to like kind of not just throw our hands up in the air and wash our hands of it, but like actually try to help people. And I think a lot of it, I don't, not all of it's going to come from the government. They can't do everything, and they're not great at doing everything. Certainly, some governmental policies are involved in that, but also I think it's about like nonprofits and like people and us just like helping each other and stuff like that. So um, I don't think like a one size fits all government solution is the answer. Yeah, exactly. I showed you the good. Now let me show you the ugly. Plus, I mean, there's the simple truth is that like it's never going to be like perfect, right? I mean, there's always going to be crime. There's always going to be people dying. Um, people make the choices they make, and we try to like we try to just like make incremental steps. And I think definitely compared to how things were back in the day, I think things have gotten better in a lot of respects. Some things have gotten worse, but um, yeah, it's a public health issue as is in as much it is as it is a criminal justice issue. It is a criminal justice issue to an extent, right? If drug dealers are killing people, killing each other, the cops have to get involved in that. You can't just have that. People make the argument, of course, that the reason if it was legalized and there was like courts of law and banks and stuff that drug dealers could use, they wouldn't be forced to rely on murder. But um, there is always going to be crime level, and there are some drugs that push people to violence. So again, I don't like these like one size fits all. Where it's like, well, if the government just legalized everything, it'd be fine. No, and they can't just continue the war on drugs like they've been doing. It's like it's a complicated issue. Um, they even say that in season 5. The good Gus, the good reporter, is like, I think any issue is worth exploring is complicated. Um, yeah. Okay. So we were talking before about how Stringer gets played by Clay Davis. Clay Davis basically just takes his money and delivers nothing in return. And so again, we're seeing that like even these powerful drug dealers who were set up as the main antagonists of season 1 are just pawns within the larger game of like these politicians. And even the politicians are pawn within the larger game of the institutions of Baltimore and the city and the government, all of that. So um, great great storyline there. A lot of people OD because they don't know the potency of the drugs. With legalization, products would have labels with exact dosages. I don't agree with that wholesale. People, die of alcohol, and that's completely regulated and shit like that. There's drunk drivers. There's people who get into fights because they're drunk and they kill each other. Like again, I don't like this narrative that like there's like a one size fits all solution where it's like, yeah, if everything was legalized and regulated and shit like that would solve everything. No, there's public health issues with even legal stuff. I still think people like consenting adults should be free to do what they want to do as long as it doesn't hurt other people. But it's clear that there are some things out there that have a negative impact on our society. People being on PCP would not be a good thing for everyone. We got into politics here, but I think that's fine because The Wire is inescapably a show about politics. And I think it's a very balanced and nuanced take on politics that, it doesn't pander. David Simon is definitely on the liberal side of it, I'll admit, but, he does not pander to the audience. He goes, I think, down the middle, which I think is why the show is fantastic. Um, there's no chemical solution to a spiritual problem. That's true. Um, yeah, great season 3. A lot of setting up Carcetti, who is one of I really like Carcetti as a character too. I think he's very relatable in the sense like he starts out doing great things or wanting to do great things, but again, the system grinds everyone down. Um, we have who else do we have in season three? Slim Charles introduction, a great character. Like I said, Colvin, the Western District. Um, we have McNulty kind of coming to terms with being a good person, realizing his self destructive behavior, and then we'll get to his storyline in season four. Um, okay, so let's jump ahead here. Season four. My favorite thing, my favorite season. My God, what a perfect season. You know, you wouldn't think that like a season about kids would be so good because usually when they introduce kids into a show, it's like, oh, these kids are annoying, they're bratty, but these kids are so realistic. These kids are so relatable. They're so balanced and nuanced, and they all have their different, personalities, and um, they even when they're acting like shitheads, you get them. Um, yeah, Captain, you can't be contrarian on how good season four is. It is perfect. All the storylines coalesce together in a meaningful way. The school system, the police system, the politics, it all works together in this perfect dance. Um, that was my problem with season two and season five, which even though it's a good storyline, it doesn't like connect to each other in like a really clear and meaningful way like it does this season. Um, so good. So let's talk about it. We're introduced to these four boys, the boys of summer. Um, these guys start out as young, innocent kids. We have Namond, who is the son of Weebay, and he is kind of like he's kind of ghetto royalty, so to speak. His family is the richest family in the neighborhood because Weebay has all this drug money. Um, Even though they're still poor in the ghetto, like compared to his friends and stuff who have drug addict parents, like he's the rich, spoiled kid. He acts tough, but he's definitely a spoiled kind of weakling. Then we have Michael Lee, who I called it this season. He was abused. His mother's a drug addict, and his stepfather molested him. And he's the tough one. He's quiet but tough. And there's a reason why he, becomes who he becomes over the course of the show, because the pain and the situation is it has forced him to be tough. Unlike Namond, who was spoiled and weak as a result. Then we have Randy, who was so sweet. He was such a sweet, like smart kid. He was like the big brain kid. All these plans, all these schemes, but gets swallowed up by the system and spat out because of goddamn Herc. Ruins his life. Carver, couldn't help him. I loved Randy. And then there's of course Dookie, the forgotten kid. He's the poor kid. He's the Kenny of the group. Parents are drug addicts. He basically is almost homeless. His parents steal from him, and God, where he ends up is so heartbreaking. But that's very realistic. Man, I love all these kids so much, and to see them all kind of break apart and get swallowed up by the system is so heartbreaking. But the storyline of the season of like the police juking the stats and not really like protecting the people, just trying to protect themselves, is the same as the school system. All they care about is test scores for themselves. There's even a quote where it's like, it's not about the students, it's about you. And there's that great parallel scene where they're both kind of sitting through some kind of bullshit seminar. Presbo has that line where he's like, I was just here when he's talking about the police. So God, yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. I mean, Randy, yeah, gets swallowed up by the group home. He's not a good kid anymore. The failure of reform, the failure of the systems to protect these people. Um, uh, Randy was a poser. I think you're talking about Naaman, right? Naaman was the poser. Yeah, no one can reform. Um, you're welcome, General Toxicus. Yeah, so we got McNulty this season kind of turning a new leaf. He becomes a street cop, stops drinking, moves in with Beatty, starts a relationship with her. And it's the reason he wasn't involved in season 4 as much is because he wanted to take a break and kind of spend more time with his family. Although again, I love that like it works thematically that McNulty's not really involved in this season because McNulty's not the main character of the show. Even though he's the top billed actor, the first one we kind of meet, and he's kind of the main character throughout most of these. Baltimore is the main character of the show, and it makes sense that just like real life, sometimes people come into your life, they leave, they come back, people are doing their own thing. It's a great example. And you're right, we have Cuddy, who is kind of the one, like one of the very few people who manages to escape, his circumstances. Bubbles is another one. Carver, to kind of a certain extent, is. Yeah, it's a great storyline with Cuddy. He knew it wasn't for him. The game wasn't for him anymore. Um, Yeah, and then when we get to season 5, of course, we have McNulty's storyline. Uh, Dominic West was in 300. Am I being stupid? I didn't even realize that. Oh well. Yeah, Cuddy was great. Still has his mistakes. He's like banging all the moms that are coming into that gym, which was not a good look for a coach. But he fixes things. So, um, uh, yeah. So the fact that Naaman is the one that gets adopted by Colvin and kind of saved, whereas the rest of these three characters gets swallowed up and spit out by the system, is actually very thematic. You could argue that Naaman is the least deserving of redemption, but that's the whole point. The rich get richer, and Naaman was the upper class in terms of this demographic here. So it makes sense that the one least deserving of being saved is the one that gets saved. And I don't mean that I hate Naaman or whatever. I still think he's a good kid. He's still a kid, despite how shitty he was. I loved it when fucking Michael slapped the shit out of him. It's like I'm done with your bullshit. But it makes sense. He's the one who tried to seize the throne while Leonidas. Oh yeah, okay, the one. Yeah, okay, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, fair enough. I didn't recognize him. Um, yeah, Slim Charles is another one who kind of managed to survive till the end. Um, yeah, and then when Bubbles, Sherrod, his little compatriot, OD'd, that was terrible. Same thing for that other guy, Johnny, who OD'd too. Um, so no, I'm not saying Naaman was saved because he had status, but I'm saying that's the thematic reason. It's like the rich get richer, and even though he already had all these great things in his life, he gets more of it because that's just kind of how it is, right? You know, the politicians get the lucky breaks. They get, the rich people get the more stuff, but that's just like thematically why I think he gets saved. Um, yeah, and like Dookie would never escape because there's no one looking out for him. Presbo kind of does, but Presbo can only do so much. He's just a teacher. Um, Anyway, again, Colvin's storyline this season two is like, again, tried to change the school system and failed. He's a failure when it comes to changing things, but he manages to make an impact on this one kid, which it reminds me of that quote from uh, uh, what was it? Schindler's List. He who saves the life of one person saves the world. And I think if more of us kind of did stuff like that, like if you can just even help one person, if we all could do that, the world would be a much better place. Um, yeah, Prez is a pawn too. They're all pawns. Okay, cool. So let's jump ahead here to season five. Um, now, I want to hear what you guys had to say about season five. I'm gonna take a drink of water because my throat is starting to hurt. But let me hear what you guys in the comments section. Tell me what you guys think of season five because I really want to know before I discuss it. Perez was the best looking guy in season five. Still definitely pretty skinny. He should get some more meat on his bones. Prop Joe. What do you guys think of season five? Not great. Hated it. Worst season of The Wire. One of you loves season five. Gail. Yep, Gail's in here. There's a Gus in here too. Funny enough. Um, yeah, I agree with you. Augustin Felix taints the series, but still better than 90% of television. That's what I said too during my reaction. Not the best season. Season 5 is bad by the Wire standards, but David Simon venting it being canceled, and the likes of dumb shows like Dexter. That's funny that he had a Dexter reference in there. Which, if you guys didn't know, Dexter was created by a guy who wrote for season 1 of The Sopranos. Dexter kind of sucks though towards the end. I liked the early seasons of Dexter. It was all right. Not a great show, but it's fun. I thought McNulty was gonna sleep with Alma. Who's Alma? Oh, Alma's this girl, right? Yeah, this girl was so pointless. So fucking point. All these characters were so fucking pointless. If there's a female on the show, there's a good chance McNulty was gonna sleep with her, given all the stuff he does. I'll still never forget that scene. I think maybe it's in season 3 where he shows up drunk to a diner and just bangs the waitress out of nowhere. Like, what was so? He was like sick all over himself. What was so attractive about him there? Worst season of The Wire. Yeah, meh. Yeah. Okay, so you guys basically have the same opinion that I do, which is that like it's probably the worst season. Definitely worse than season 2 because thematically it's not nearly as relevant as. I mean, yes, I get this shit about like fake media, fake news, all of that. Way before fake news even became a thing, but she's the wife of D'Angelo, really? Alma? That's interesting. I didn't know that. I gotta learn about all this behind the scenes stuff. We'll talk about. Oh, how do I rank each season's montage? Ooh, I don't know about that. I can't remember all the montages. But we'll talk about how I rank each season at the end here. Yeah, the weird Cuddy training montage where it cut between him and Daniel's banging Perlman. God, seeing Daniel's naked body was gross. Because I don't know, he's too skinny. I didn't get it. Like, why? What did Cuddy have to do with Daniels and Perlman? Like, maybe just the punching sound with the thrusts of him banging her That was a weird scene. I didn't get it at all. I mean, maybe they just threw it in there for sex appeal or whatever, just like all the other sex scenes with McNulty. But yeah, weird scene there. Um, Ronnie, Ronnie, McNulty's so funny. Okay, yeah. So season five. From what I know, this guy Gus, he was like one of the main characters on Homicide: Life on the Street, right? Which was based on David Simon's book, which is also The Wire is kind of based on too. Um, and so he's obviously kind of an insert for David Simon, who is was a reporter for the Baltimore Sun, and this is obviously like something he encountered while he was there, right? It's clear that Scott Templeton is like some asshole he worked with, who David Simon was just trying to like take down in this show. Um, but the problem with this season is that you know this new storyline doesn't really interact with the other storylines. Like, yes, there's the whole thing with the serial killer, which really was like, it was way too out there for The Wire. Like, faking a serial killer was too, too, I don't know, too TV, you know. I don't know. I couldn't buy it. Like, and again, they don't the pacing of this season was so weird because like they just fake the serial killer for like 9 out of 10 episodes, and then right at the end they just arrest Marlowe and then let him go and everything. So it's like the pacing was so off. I don't know why they only gave him 10 episodes. Why not 13 or at least 12 like the other seasons? Um, Fucking HBO. Why do they always do this? They always like ruin the last seasons of the shows. They do. Same with Rome. They rushed Rome at the end. Or they canceled Rome actually. Boardwalk Empire. I heard they rushed it at the end there. Um, you have these wildly successful shows. Like, why don't you just give them the money? Although I think that The Wire was not a money maker for them, so that could be why. Um, uh, yeah, they're saying journalists are out of touch with the city, just like the cops. I could get that, but again, I hate the pacing of this season. Like, literally, 9 out of 10 episodes is Gus being like, I wonder if Scott is faking his stories. No, he wouldn't do that. And then Scott's like, hey, by the way, I ran into the serial killer, and then we had sex in a warehouse together, and he showed me all his evidence, but then he took it back. And Gus is like, this is a little suspicious, but no way Scott would do this. Let's maybe start to look like it takes so long for him to just realize Scott's full of shit. And I don't know. It just I don't the stakes of like whether Scott was lying about it or not. Um, yeah, The Wire didn't win any awards. There's even like a reference to that in if you guys watch It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. There's an episode where the gang desperately tries to win an award, and so they get what's his name, Cuddy, who plays a character on It's Always Sunny. They get him to show up at the bar to be the black guy, the token black guy in their thing, and then like a bunch of black guys show up and they're like, we can't have too many black guys here because black bars don't win awards, and it's a joke about how black shows don't win awards. And it's a reference to The Wire here. Yeah, that's just how it is. Um, yeah, Scott's working for CNN. Yeah. Um, uh, yeah, they had nothing to talk about after Stringer and Avon. They had stuff with Marlowe. Wait, Bunny appears in It's Always Sunny. Where? You go ahead and post where he appears because I'm gonna just keep talking. But um, who is he in It's Always Sunny? Unless it's like in the new season because I haven't watched it. But um, Daniels was in It's Always Sunny too. When who was he? Yeah, Cuddy was the guy who was like, "Oh shit!" when Charlie's doing his song. He plays Z, uh, the friend that they meet under the bridge people. Um, if I had to recast Breaking Bad, I would have had Ziggy as Jesse and Lance. Oh, really? I couldn't see Lance as Gus on Breaking Bad. Gus is, Giancarlo Esposito. Ziggy could be Jesse, I guess. He looks kind of more like a drug addict. Um, Bodhi's actor appeared in The Sopranos. Who was he on The Sopranos? I kind of think I remember him. Was he the guy that Christopher robbed the truck with or not Christopher, with Brendan Falone robbed the truck with? I think that's what he is. Um, uh, Duncan was one of them, but Z was at Duncan's apartment, playing the game. Wow, those people were banging in the clear glass or the clear plastic room. Um, uh, yeah, he robbed. Okay, yeah, that was Bodie. I don't know who Bunny was on It's Always Sunny. Um, is the laser tag episode? Hmm, interesting. I didn't know that. Um, okay, maybe I do remember actually now. Oh well, we're getting off topic here, but um, Natural Police. Police. I love all the little dialect they have on the show. Yeah, he's Natural Police. Okay, so back to talking about the season because we got to wrap it up here soon. Um, yeah, so like I said, the newspaper storyline was just too slow, didn't connect with the rest of the show. This girl Alma does fucking nothing. I guess her whole thing was that she was like willing to do the hard work of being a reporter rather than Scott just wanted to cut corners. Um, but yeah, kind of a pointless character. Um, this guy becomes the editor at the end, even though I don't even know his fucking name. Um, yeah, so I don't like wait, you guys are saying Bunny is Barney's cop boss? Are you talking about uh How I Met Your Mother? Because an episode of It's Always Sunny about laser tag, right? I thought that's what you're talking about. But you're saying Bunny was in How I Met Your Mother as Barney's cop boss in the laser tag ring. Um, I don't know, but that's gonna bother me now. I'm trying to think about it. Um, uh, am I gonna do It's Always Sunny? I don't know. Maybe I love that show, but I don't know. I don't know how I could fucking review it. Just be like, yeah, this episode was funny. They're all fucking funny. Um, okay. Anyway, so we've established that the newspaper storyline is, you know, just kind of boring and not that relevant. And you'd think that with David Simon, this being like his background, he would, knock it out of the park with this. But again, I think that it was just too much like in his world that he was just like, yeah, Scott Templeton's the biggest asshole in the world. When really, I was like, I don't give a shit. He's such a boring villain too. He's just so bland and milk toast. Yeah, I hated Scott. He just wasn't interesting. I didn't care about his bullshit. McNulty faking the serial killer. Yeah, too TV for me. Too out there. The pacing was off. The politics stuff was all right with Carcetti basically bankrupting the city to become governor. That was interesting. Marlowe. So the shit with Omar. So that the Marlowe Omar stuff's kind of the most interesting stuff this season, right? Um, I am gonna do a Boardwalk Empire reaction, so expect that eventually. But we have fucking Omar getting killed out of nowhere, which makes sense. I always kind of knew that he was gonna die, um, and but basically the storyline is that Omar won because he's a legend now in the community, and Omar is kind of seen as like a little bitch because he got out of the game and he never fought back against Omar because fucking Chris didn't tell him about it. So that's kind of the justice that Marlo gets, is that like he's cursed to forever be a businessman when he wanted to be a gangster. Kind of the opposite of Stringer Bell. That's not true, Jonathan. Omar might not be coming, but Omar's successor, Michael be coming. Michael coming. Yo. Um so okay, so let's talk about parallels and like parallel endings. So like we have Michael becoming the new Omar, of course, which I knew that there was gonna be a new Omar. I didn't realize it was Michael till the end, but it makes sense. Um we have Dookie becoming the new Bubbles. Again, that makes sense. And this is interesting, but we have, I think Naaman is going to become the new Clay Davis. I didn't come up with this. I saw the YouTube video about it, but someone showed that like there's a parallel bit of dialogue where it's like Clay has this thing where he's like, "I'll take any motherfucker's money if you're giving it away." Shit. And then Naaman, when he gets the money from Marlo, it's like he's like, "I'll take any motherfucker's money if he giving it away." So I could see Naaman going into politics, especially because he's doing the model UN thing or whatever he was doing at the end there. And the last bit of dialogue he has is like, "Damn, Mr. C, you know the mayor too." So it's kind of clear that he like thinks politics is kind of cool. Like he wants to be the big man. So yeah, that was I think that's we have Kennard will be the next Chris. Kennard's going to jail for fucking murdering Omar. But yeah, Kennard's going to be a murderer, basically. Um, no, that's not true. McNulty got fired. Or he quit. So he ain't going to be no cop no more. That's the other thing that bothered me about season 5 is that there's not really justice for McNulty. Like yes, he loses his job as a cop, but to be honest, that's a good thing for him. We've established that being a detective is bad for his mental health. He gets back with BD even though he cheated on her and was acting like a shithead all season. Um, McNulty's wake is fun, but I don't know. It's just too much of a happy ending for McNulty. It's like, why does he get such a happy ending? Like Freeman, I get because he was always about like he was good police, but he didn't like define himself by that. And at the end there, where he's just painting his little doll houses, and he has Chardine with him. I could believe that Freeman, would have a happy ending, but McNulty, I don't know. I don't feel like he deserved a happy ending, or at least that kind of a happy ending. I know he's like the main character, so to speak, of the closest human character we get to a main character. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Kima snitching too. I didn't like that. Not like I agree that like McNulty and Freeman were in the fucking wrong with this. But she was like a ride or die girl, and she was like McNulty too. McNulty would never rat on his fellow coworker. Well, now that I think about it, he did go behind Daniels' back in season 3. And there's this great line of dialogue he has where he's like, "I would have gone to the devil himself," because he wants to do what's right no matter what. So I guess I could actually see Kima, violating her cop oath, even like the thin blue line to do what she thinks is right. I love Kima, by the way, as a character. Great realistic portrayal of like dysfunction in the family. Bunk was the best like mainstream detective. Like he solved cases and did his work. But he never wanted to go above and beyond. but that's why he survives. Like he plays the system. He's gonna survive. He's not gonna get ground up like McNulty and Freeman are. Um, but I love that scene where he's in the bar with Freeman, and Freeman's talking about the case, and Bunk's just like, yeah, I'm trying to get me some pussy tonight. Yeah. Like, he doesn't care at all about the case. Um, yeah, but sometimes things just gotta play hard. Yeah, you want it one way, but it's the other way. Um, no, that's not true. Yeah, boy Leary, he's back with Beatty at the end. She takes him back. Um, which I don't know. Maybe they'll have a happy future, but now that he's not a cop, but um, yeah, it's kind of fucked up that he doesn't get punished in any kind of real way. Yeah, Landsman's cool, especially when he let Bubbles go, where he's like, "Fuck the clearance. I'm gonna do what's right here." I don't get why do these guys like just read like porno mags just at work. I don't. Is that like titillating for people to just like? I don't know. I feel like if I was in an office with a bunch of dudes all around me, I wouldn't. I wouldn't be like, yeah, check it. I don't know. That just seems weird to me. But Avon's still the king. Yeah, he's still the king. Even though Marlowe, won, so to speak. Avon's ruling from prison. Um, yeah, Meaty was a good girl. That's someone you could have a family with. Pussy. You know what the plural of pussy is? Pussy. Jimmy. Where you at, Jimmy? So many great lines in this show. Um, yeah, Bunk's awesome. I love Bunk. Well, Rawls was overcompensating for being gay. He didn't want people to know. Um, Again, great detail that some of these characters are just on the down low. Um, but yeah, so that's basically my thoughts on all of this 5 seasons. I still think it's fantastic. I think it's an incredible show, even though it's kind of disappointing. So you guys were asking what's my rating for the show. Season 4, number 1. Season 1, number 2, best season. Um, Season 3, then season 2, or maybe season 2 and then season 3, and then season 5 last. But basically, 1 and 4 are my favorite seasons. They're fantastic. No, I don't think it would have been better, Eric guessed, if they built on it, because I think he's just on the down low, and that's the whole point. Is like you have characters like Kima who are out in the open, and like Omar too, but it's like a character like Rawls who wants to rise is like he's not gonna come out and be public with it. He's like, yeah, I'm just on the down low, just being himself. So something that blew my mind that David Simon confirmed. Yeah, Cheese is Randy's dad. Yeah, they both have the last name Wagstaff. Um, yeah, but yeah, this really is like one of the greatest, absolutely up there with The Sopranos. I think they're both number one, to be honest. Sopranos is a better, character study of a human. The Wire is a better character study of Baltimore. Sopranos has, I think, a better storyline. The Wire has a better social message. So both fantastic series, and yeah, it is what it is. Any last thoughts you guys want to? Any last questions you want to talk about? Ask before I get. I'm gonna probably end things here at 1:30. I've been talking for like an hour and a half here, and I think you guys are getting tired of my ugly mug. Um, but yeah, let me know. Let me know your thoughts here as we kind of wrap things up. Thank you, Tobin. I'm really happy that you guys kind of pushed me to watch this show because, like I said, it's so rare that I find a show that's like phenomenal like this. Like most shows I watch, it's like, yeah, it's all right, but This is one of the top ones out there. There will never be another show like The Wire. I do want to check out David Simon's other shows, Treme, which is about New Orleans after the hurricane. I'm going to check out The Corner, which is a kind of a mini series featuring a lot of the Wire cast. Um, I could probably check out Homicide: Life on the Street. I definitely don't think I would do an episode by episode review, but I could make a video on it. So we got a lot of stuff coming down the pipeline. We've got Boardwalk Empire reaction coming soon. I'll do a Mad Men reaction probably after that. Yeah, a lot of reactions. The Breaking Bad logs are coming out every Monday. I've got some Soprano analysis coming out. I've got a video on the Many Saints in Newark coming out next Thursday. Kind of the upload schedule is going to be, I'm going to upload Monday and Thursday one week. So Monday will always be the Breaking Bad log. Thursday will be something else. And then next week I'm going to do just Monday. And then the week after that, like alternate. So 2 videos one week, then 1 video, then 2 videos. So if you guys can do me a favor and make sure you have the notifications turned on. I know the Breaking Bad logs are not getting as much views as the Soprano logs were. Makes sense that, not all of my viewers are interested in Breaking Bad, but just make sure you're tuning in every Monday and every other Thursday for videos, because I'm still going to be putting out great content, still going to be putting out analysis, reactions to this whole kind of Kino world, which is, these great television shows and movies. Oz, yeah, I've seen Oz. Oz was the first HBO show I ever watched. I could do a video on that. I definitely don't think it's perfect. I think it's an all right show. It has a lot of things I was like, that kind of sucks, but yeah, still a great show. Yeah, Many Saints should have been a series. We might still get it, to be honest. They're in discussions, but I don't know what's gonna happen. Yeah, the Deacon was basically Avon back in the day. Yeah, there's plenty of crossover between all these HBO shows. I just watched the first episode of Boardwalk Empire last night, and we've got Butchie from The Sopranos as Johnny Torrio. We've got Hernan as Lucky Luciano. Of course, Steve Buscemi's in both. So yeah, we got a lot of, and of course, Chalky White is Omar. So a lot of crossover. Yeah, I watched Westworld. I didn't finish season 3 because it was so fucking boring. Season 1's fantastic. Season 2 kind of sucks. Season 3 sucks horribly of Westworld. Yeah, I've seen Got. I'm a book reader of the Game of Thrones books, and I'll make a video on House of the Dragon when it comes out. Prop chose white voice on the payphone. That was pretty funny. Not seen 6 Feet Under. That could be something I should check out. The most immediate things on my radar are Boardwalk Empire, Mad Men, and then maybe some of David Simon's other shows, which are like Homicide, Life on the Street, The Corner, Treme. But that's kind of my main. And Succession I'm going to start watching too. Deadwood was really good. Euphoria, I don't know. That kind of show just didn't seem like it appealed to me at all. Like teenagers, drugs, that seemed like too modern for me. I don't know. Is it good? Tell me if Euphoria is good or not, but I like the main girl, Zendaya or whatever her name is. But I don't know. It just didn't. I don't know. It seemed like a teenager show to me. So to the first Boardwalk Empire. No. I just watched it. It's gonna be like my Wire reactions, just the whole season in one video. But The original Westworld? No, I haven't seen that. I don't know if that's something I'll watch or not. There's always something new I should watch. Evangelion. I thought about maybe checking that out just because I know it's like a kind of a quintessential anime. Um, but I don't know. I've heard it's kind of cringy at points too. So I've heard that, to be honest, Life of Brian, that like Homicide's not as good as The Wire. The Corner is just a mini series. It's not a big commitment. And I've heard Treme is good, but not as good as The Wire. So, but I would just check it out to just like out of curiosity. Um, Jonathan, I don't watch anime typically. I watch like normie shit like Naruto, um, Full Metal Alchemist, Death Note. I'm not a big anime guy. I don't hate anime, um, but the animes I do watch, they kind of need to be more like Western for me. Like I don't like the kind of weird out there shit like that other people like. So that's just how I feel. I love all of Studio Ghibli, by the way. So I don't know if that counts as anime. I mean, it does, but like I think you're asking about like anime series. I love Studio Ghibli. Kiki's Delivery Service is one of my top 10 favorite movies. Um, you mean the Gen Z teens who implausibly love 90s hip hop? Oh, I think you're replying to someone else. The Expanse, I thought about checking that out. I don't know. There's always a million things I need to watch. Um, Twin Peaks, I watched it. I haven't finished season 3 yet. I kind of don't really like season 3. Um, season 2 was horrible of Twin. Season 1's really good. Season 2 is fucking horrible. And yeah, I've seen Attack on Titan. I didn't finish the last season or whatever it is. I talked about this earlier, but it's all right, but it's a little bit too like this is so fucking serious for me, and I don't know. He needs more humor to balance it out. But it's a good series. Um, oh, the Deuce, right? That's also David Simon's show. I don't know. That didn't look appealing to me to watch that show, but maybe. Just to give context on David Simon, maybe. Um, Gravity Falls, no. I've heard that's good. I heard that's one of those like good shows, like good cartoons, like Adventure Time, and I watched Avatar: The Last Airbender. I love that, and Korra too. Um, I watched Cowboy Bebop. To be honest, Cowboy Bebop was like it was good, like in terms of aesthetics, but I was expecting more. And maybe it's just because like I heard that like Cowboy Bebop's the best anime of all time. Um, but yeah, to be honest, I was like, oh, this is okay. Like great aesthetics. I love the fucking aesthetics and the art style. But the actual storylines and characters were just like, it's all right. Um, but yeah, it's a great Western style anime. Yeah, like I said, Twin Peaks. I didn't love the series. Like I love the first season, but season 2 is bad, like very bad. And season 3, as I'm watching it, it's just kind of weird. I haven't finished it, but um, yeah. Uh, Euphoria is a teen show, but it's a deconstruction of teen dramas and satire. Okay, I mean that's kind of cool. Maybe I'll check it out. Yeah, Twin Peaks opening is fantastic. Can't rec some shows on Discord. I think you meant you can recommend some shows on Discord. Yeah, hit me up on Discord. If you guys are not in the Discord, please join. We got some great discussions on there about different shows. Yeah, anyone can feel free to message me on there too if you want to talk. Um, no, I've not seen The Deuce. It looked weird. It didn't look like something I wanted to watch. I forget that that's David Simon too. House of Cards. I refused to watch that last season without Kevin Spacey. it was getting kind of bad before that, but I refused to watch it without him. The first like 2 or 3 seasons were pretty good, but again, that's a Netflix thing. It's like the first few seasons are good, and then the show gets to shit, and I'm not gonna watch season 5. I refuse. Um, you can skip all of season 2, Twin Peaks, between the death of Lee. Yeah, season 2. I tweeted about this. It's like, um, it it becomes like campy, and I don't know why. I think I've heard like uh what's the guy's name who made the show? I'm blanking on it. I've heard he wasn't as involved in season 2, and they kind of did whatever they wanted with it. But I don't know. It is what it is. Yeah, I'll be reviewing Better Call Saul eventually. I'm not going to review it this year because I need to know how it ends. And the final season's coming out this year, I think. But yeah, you can expect a Better Call Saul series review eventually. Um, Hunter x Hunter. Yeah, that's I don't know. That's one of those things where it's like that. I don't know. I would need to like really an anime would need to be like something really special for me to get into it as a series. I'd watch an anime movie or something. I love those, but I've not seen Fargo. I need to check it out. I've heard great things about it, both the movie and I've not seen the movie. I've not seen the show, but I'd love to watch it because the Coen brothers are some of my favorite directors. Who do you think had the most memorable ending on The Wire? Um, Dookie, yeah, I mean that's heartbreak. A lot of them had great endings. Bubbles had kind of the most uplifting ending. Um, Omar, obviously, his ending was heartbreaking for me. David Lynch, that's who it is. Sorry. Um, Gamora makes the Sopranos look like the Waltons in terms of ruthlessness. I don't know what that means, and I don't know what the Waltons is. I've heard Gamora. People have recommended that to me. We'll see. Um, yeah, we talked about Fargo. I'll watch that eventually. Um, okay. Well, I feel like I'm just getting into just rambling on at this point, and I'm sure it's getting boring for some of you to just be watching my my face here. Definitely my Wire videos are not as popular as The Sopranos, and I understand that because I built my channel on The Sopranos. But it's cool for me that even this less popular thing, we could sustain a long hour and a half conversation on it. Like I said, I love doing these streams with you guys. I love interacting in this way. It's a lot more engaging for me than just making a video and then just reading the comments. I like having an actual discussion with you guys. So expect more streams coming eventually here. I usually try to base it on something, but I want to check out Peaky Blinders too, and yeah, I'll watch that eventually too. But yeah, expect more streams and more discussions here. I hope this is something you guys are enjoying, and yeah, we'll talk again soon. So thank you guys so much. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'm gonna go get something to eat. So I'll talk to you guys soon.